Well, hello. I wanted to show you one of the new stamp sets today to make a card with it. And the new stamp set is called Color and Contour. And it is actually from the new annual catalog. It is so beautiful, and I'll be concentrating on the month of May of making cards with this stamp set. And then I'm hoping to show an alternative with another stamp set. And the one today is actually is from the mini catalog that I'll be demonstrating as well. Well, not demonstrating, just showing at the end. I'm demonstrating the card and the color and contour. So I'm so happy you've joined me. I will show you the pieces to the kit I did for May for those who are interested, and then we'll get started. So give me a moment and I'll get the card flipped, or the camera flipped. There we go. And I'm just going to take that down the ever so bit. There we go. And make the adjustment for the camera. And try to center things up. I think we're good right there. I'm going to actually also snap on a light. And for you, if I hit the right button, there we go. It's kind of a dreary day here today, and I wanted to make sure I had enough light. And so here's the card that we're going to be doing. And as I said, it's from the Color and Contour. I'm going to be using this flower. I'll be using the double stamp. Also using this greeting, thank you for everything. The cardstock that I'm using is actually from our new in colors called Polished Pink. And this DSP is actually from a new collection called Hand Pinned. And I really love how it works well with this particular stamp set. So let's get started, and I'll tell you the pieces to this lovely card set. Card that we're going to be making. Now this piece is a little bit of a fun fold. This is a Polished Pink, and it measures 7.5 by 5.5, and you score it at 4 1/4. Normally this piece would be the 8.5, and so you're just taking that inch off on the end. This piece of DSP, which is the Hand Pin Designer Series paper, it's new, 3 inches by 5 1/4. Then the stamp set that I mentioned also has some great dies with it that are going to be really versatile for other cards and stamp sets as well. And it is called Scalloped Contour Dies. And look at these dies. Look at these lovely scalloped edged, lovely, you could do those card fronts. You can do them as little boxes for sentiments. Then we have a scalloped edge here that can be used on an edge of a card. We have this, what we're cutting out actually today. And then the other stamp in the set is what that is used to cut out. I'm just going to give you an example of that scalloped edge. I'm not going to be demonstrating this card, but this is a card I made using the scalloped edged here as well on this piece. And then I used the speckled stamp that is in the stamp set, the DSP, and then I used the double edged punch on this one. Isn't that sweet? How you can see how lovely that card turned out. Thank you for everything. Love that sentiment. So that's just a demonstration of how that scalloped edge die can be used. Now, to get started, I would first take my cardstock once it's been cut, and I would score it. And so I use my bone folder to score it. So that's that piece. I also will mention that the inside piece, which is your basic white, is 5 1/4 by 4. And you'll notice that I have actually embossed it along this side. So what I did for my embossing folder, it's the embossing folder is called, and I need to look down my list here, Meadow Moments, and it comes with two folders, two small folders. This one folder really just goes along one edge, and so that's really the look I was looking for. Now, if I wanted to stamp it, I would have stamped it first, and then I would have put it, then I would have done it through the embossing folder, and the embossing folder is here. But I didn't want to stamp on the inside. I can still write a little note, which is what I want to do with this particular card. So if you don't have an embossing folder that'll just do one edge, what I recommend is cutting a piece the length, which is your 5 1/4, and then 1 inch, and then put it through an embossing folder and then just glue it on this particular side. So that is going to be the inside. And so I think I'll just start with getting this put on the inside. I'm just going to take my Stampin' Seal and I am going to put it here on this card. And you could use the liquid glue adhesive as well if you wanted to. So that's plenty of glue. And I want it along the right hand side. So I'm going to line it up here, just eyeballing it as it were, and get it as straight as possible. I'm trying to work around the camera, so there we go. Then the other piece that we're going to be gluing on is the DSP that goes on the front. So I'm going to put that on the front. It's kind of cloudy today, but my husband and I actually went out for a lovely walk this morning. We dog sit our daughter's dog, our son-in-law's dog. Her name is Kit, and we took her out with us this morning, so we waited for her to arrive. So it was nice to get out. It was a good day for walking, actually, lovely temperature. All right, so there's that. So there's the base of our card. Now I'm going to be stamping this piece, and this again is from the contour dies, the scalloped edge, and it is the third to the largest. So I'll just show you, third to the smallest or third to the largest, right here. So this is the one I used just to cut that out like that. And I loved how each one is a little bit different. If you can notice, this one actually has the pieces cut out. This has a lovely little scallop and little dotted edge. This has a stitched edge. This one has the lines with the scallop and then the little tiny box as well. Just really like those. Those are going to come in really handy for a lot of different cards. And this is called Scalloped Contour Dies. So I'm going to be putting this on, and when I do put it on, I'm going to put it on with dimensionals, and I'm also going to make sure that where it overlaps on the card, I'm not going to put any dimensionals here, that I'll make sure I put them all on this side. So I'm going to be stamping this. I'm also going to stamp my flowers. Now, normally I would, and I tried it different ways, normally I would stamp this first and then cut it out, but I found it easier to line up after if it was stamped, if you can imagine that. So there's my flowers. I'm going to be doing color on color. So I'm going to be using the Daffodil Delight stamp set. I'm going to open that up, put away my other items, and I am going to get so there's 2 stamps for this. So there's the outline stamp and then the stamp that actually fills it in. That's probably hard to see. I'm not sure if it's any easier to see on a dark surface, but there we go. So that one fills it in. This one is the outline. So I'm going to be using the outline one first, and really it's personal choice if you wanted to use both, but I did want to use both because part of it is I want to demonstrate these stamps. And so I'm going to ink it up with my Daffodil Yellow, and this is Daffodil Yellow that is going to be stamped on. Now on this stamp, and again maybe I'll do it this way, on this stamp there's a little piece here and a little piece here that are just thin little pieces that grow out, and that is what I'm using to go over this little piece and this little piece. That's where I'm measuring. That's the pieces I'm using to go by. So I'm going to try to do this as best I can, and actually my block is dirty. There we go. Something like that. And I mean, really, it's pretty forgiving. So there's one. And I'm going to take that off. So there's one. So as you see, that matched up pretty well. And here is my other one. So again, I'm just going to get those pieces lined up the best I can and then stamp it down. I need to clean my block though. It is getting so you can't see through it quite as well. There's number 2, and then number 3 is right here. So we are going to have this piece lined up. And again, my block is a little dirty. I'm going to try that. Hard to see. I'm getting a glare from the light today too. There we go. So we are going to just take that off. So there's my stamped image. As you see, it's pretty forgiving when you do these. I find that, but I did like the look of this better, doing it this way than when I did it the other way. So now this one, and the flower isn't meant to be solid. It's meant to give that watercolored look. And so when I do this one, I am going to, let's see if this one here, I think I will do somewheres around there. And actually, I'm going to snap my light off for a moment just so I can see better. And then I will snap it back on. So somewheres along there, I'm going to stamp it up with some ink. And then I am going to do this. So I don't have quite as much glare as what I did have. Oh, it's just starting to rain. I'm glad we went out for a walk when we did. So there's one. So this is another one we'll do. Get the ink and get our block. And again, very forgiving. I really appreciate the look of it. We get that kind of that watercolor look with this stamp. And we are going to do the there we go. The last one done, and then I'll just do the sentiment on the front of the scalloped edged triangle. And always when you're finished with your stamp sets is to close them so that they don't dry out. So there's that closed. I'm going to take my simple chamois, and I love the simple chamois because it stays moist. Even though it looks dirty, it's not. It does stain, but it still works really well. And I'm going to get that looked after and set it aside. And I'm going to get my black Momenta ink. This is the black Momenta. And I am going to put my stamp on. Get this. The photopolymer stamps, the see-through stamps. It is really nice to have this pad underneath. It gives a better, I find, a nicer image. So there's our image for this one. Just going to hold that there for a minute while I turn on the light again. There we go. How beautiful is that? And again, I am going to close my ink. I'm going to use my simple chamois to clear my stamp, and we're good to go to finish the card. All right, so I can get rid of this now. I'll put that over there, and now let's assemble the card. It's a really, in so many ways, it's such a simple card, but I find I love the how it looks. So I'm going to get some dimensionals. And again, I want to be concentrating, like where do I want this? Approximately maybe the same on top and the bottom, hanging over the edge a little bit. So I don't want anything down this side. So I'm just going to line that up. I lined it up with this line so I know that I don't put any dimensionals there. I'll put one in the corner. Now you may choose to use the mini dimensionals. You may choose to actually cut these in half. Whatever works really for you is good. So once I get those on, I am going to find my pick tool, which I have off to the side here. And I'm going to use my pick tool, which I love for doing many different things. I'll be using it to put my gems on today too. But I love it because it is a very fast, efficient way to get the backings off on those dimensionals. So here's my card. And again, it's shaping up very nicely. And I am going to take my little piece that's going to hang over my scalloped edged red rectangle, and I'm going to do that before I go down too much. I'm going to make sure it's not showing on the back, and it's not. And there we go. Next thing I'm going to do is take my flowers, and I'm going to put them on, but I want to make sure the centers are showing because I'm going to put a gem in the front of each one. These two are going to get glued on. This third one is actually going to get raised, so you could either glue these two on and then raise this one, which I think actually is what I'm going to do. And I want the centers to show because I want to put gems on them. And when I put glue on this, I only want glue on this side. I don't want glue on the other side. So I'm going to grab my glue, and it's the liquid glue that I'm using, and I'm going to put a little bit on here. There we go. We're going to put this way and put that flower on. Then I'm going to put, now my other flower, I'm going to put this way. So this is kind of how it's going to go. So just a little bit knot on that edge where my thumb is, and I'll put it all over on the rest of the flower. We're going to put some little dots of that glue, liquid glue. There we go. And if you feel you've got a little bit too much, just dot it with your finger, and then just wipe your finger, of course, so you don't get it all over the place. And that goes there. This one's going here. So that kind of gets you, and want to make sure my centers are showing. So that's where that one's going to go. I'm just going to hold that for a moment. And now we're going to put dimensionals on this. Now I am going to use my scissors because it is a smaller space. So I'm just going to cut some of these pieces of the dimensional so that I can place them on the back of the flower. There we go. This would be such a pretty card to give a congratulations, to write a little note, someone's even a graduation or something, you know, when you think of someone who is says, I'm so very happy for you. Just think about all the occasions that you could use that sentiment for. And again, you can always put a sentiment on the inside of the card, just making sure it doesn't come over on this 1 inch edge, and that would work as well. So here we go. So again, I want my centers of the flowers to show, and there, I'm going to put that right there. And I'm going to have a bow made out of the linen thread, and I'm just going to kind of move that around. I am going to get my dimensionals, not my dimensionals, my glue dots. And I am going to use my pick tool. Again, I use my pick tool all the time, all the time. Great investment, the pick tool. And I am going to put that on the back. And then this little bow is going to go up here on the, if I can get it off my finger, it's going to go up here. So there's our little bow. And there you go. Beyond getting the gems on, which I'm going to do now, I'm going to use my pick tool again, use the putty end, and I'm going to do this. So there's one. And one more gem on the center one, and then the third gem. And there we go. Our card is completed. So happy for you. Just think about all the ways that you could use that sentiment for someone and sending them a note. And I wanted to as well tell you that when I do up my card kits, I always do an instruction sheet. And so this is my instruction sheet for this card. As well, the other card that I wanted to show you today, which I am having trouble finding, of course, and I know it is right here somewheres, and it seems to have disappeared, of course. I'm so sorry. But anyway, we'll show you it just on the picture, seeing how the real thing doesn't want to show up. So this is the other card. So as you see, I use the same fold. I use the snail stamp set. So I don't know if you've seen the stamp set, but it's called Snailed It. And this stamp set says you've got mail, hello, you snailed it, happy mail. So I use the happy mail stamp. It has in the dies, which I love these dies, the Snailed It dies are so cool. And the Snail It dies, as you see, I've used them all. This little box was used for the front. This was used for the envelope and then put together. And I was able to use a die to cut around the snail itself from the DSP that goes with it. And that is in our mini catalog. So that was a really fun card. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed creating it. I enjoyed, here, and I found my card. Figured if I talked long enough, it would show up. So here is the actual card. So this is with the Snailed It set. Isn't that fun? And again, you could write the little note on the inside. This one, again, if you could do that 1 inch by 5 1/4, run it through an embossing folder, and then just glue it on the inside. Isn't that fun? And then again, these were, I used dimensionals on those, and I fussy cut this one, used the die cut, used a die cut, used the stamp, and then I just cut around it, and this is one of the dies. So I hope you've enjoyed these cards today. As you see how different one card fun fold can look so different from one card to the next, and the variety of ways you can put it together. Thank you so much for joining me today, and let me know what you think of this fun fold.